Hi, you're listening to the My Body, My Story podcast.
I really love and am passionate about human connection. So the impact that has on contributing to our own well-being, so the well-being of ourselves, the well-being of others.
This is the 45 over 45 chapter, where we celebrate rule breakers and role models, the women who inspire us to live life our way and to show their sensuality, beauty, soul, and true essence. I'm your host, Alina, and I'm interviewing 45 women over the age of 45 while they're sitting in my makeup chair and getting their makeover for the project's photo shoot. Here we talk about what it's like to be 45 plus, adjusting to the changes that come with time, and we'll listen to the stories of our participants. If you have an interesting story to share, we'd love for you to participate. You can email us on info@alexandrawalker.com, and that's Alexandra spelled with a KS, or visit our website alexandrawalker.com.
Hi, Kylie. Thank you very much for joining our project and welcome to our studio. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 49. I'm a single mother of 3 adult children, and I live on the beautiful sunny Gold Coast. And I've been living here now for 33 years. I love the Gold Coast. It's such a beautiful place to bring up your family. It's not too busy. It's not too sleepy either. So, it's a lovely family vibe, I feel. And I'm also a sun lover, so I love the beach, but it's also very close to the hinterland, so I can also go and get a dose of bush and bushwalking. Or within 15 minutes, I can go either way and get to experience both. And the weather here obviously is very livable all year round. So it's my happy place here on the Gold Coast. So I love living here. What else can I tell you about myself? I currently work from home. I provide project management services that support leadership and development consultants who deliver corporate programs around the globe. So I have always had a love and interest in personal development, and so I've been lucky to be able to work in the industry. So that's, yeah. I was born in Sydney. My parents were actually very young when I was born, and they divorced when I was only about 6 or 7. I have a younger brother to this marriage who I was actually really close to growing up. Having separated parents back in the 70s, it was the norm to actually only see Dad on the occasional weekend or holiday. And my mum worked full-time actually throughout my whole childhood. I think the first time she was actually at home when I got home from school, I think I was in high school in year 10. So growing up, I sort of felt responsible to being my brother's caretaker. So I actually grew up very fast with adult responsibilities and being a carer. So it's sort of been a thread through my life, being in service. Both my mum and dad actually remarried when I was very young, and they married partners that had children, and they also had children in their new marriages. So I actually have 3 sisters and 3 brothers. Oh. So lots of family, lots of fun times over the years. Even though, they're a mix.
Got on well together.
Pardon?
You got on well together.
We did. Even though we didn't actually grow up together in the same homes, we really do have a love and a care for each other. And even to this day, where, you know, we've always shared in each other's ups and downs and celebrated the goods and the highs and lows. So we're not all that close, but there's this sort of bond that's sort of unshakable. So it's been a blessing actually to have a big family, because family's really important to me. I love those relationships. I spend a lot of. I actually grew up with mum, so my brother and I sort of lived with mum, but mum and her husband moved around the country a lot when I was growing up. So I think I'd been to many different schools and lived in 3 different states in Australia. So I never sort of had sort of long-lasting bonds with friends, being young, moving from town to town. But I actually came here to the Gold Coast when I was 17, living on my own, although it wasn't my choice to live on my own, but I came here for university. And so that was sort of the start of my real adult life. I was 17, so I sort of started that journey young as well. I went to university and did a degree in business. Interestingly, I sort of reflect on that and think, why? Because I don't love business. I'm good at it. I have an understanding, and very sort of organised and structured, so that sort of aligns. But I think my choice was really following in Dad's footsteps to be an accountant. But yes, not exactly my passion. But going to university to do that did actually serve me well. So it's where I met some beautiful long-term lifetime friends, and where I met my husband at the time. And so, yeah, it was good times. Having met my husband, I actually got on really, really beautifully with his mum. So she sort of became my mum away from home, and was actually a delight in my life. And she introduced my husband and I to personal development workshops and things when I think I was only about 18 or 19. So I was very, very blessed to have that experience so young in life, because when I went there and experienced those weekends, I just felt like I was at home and met my peeps. And it's actually been a blessing for me throughout my journey, because it's something that I've always been able to use the tools from in terms of my growth and development. I've been very blessed with that time of my life, even though I was a bit young and naive, and it was scary really to be on my own, because family and friends meant a lot to me. So it was reassuring to have sort of found a new family and new community at that time. After I got married, I didn't actually work. Before I got married, it was only a couple of years finishing uni, and what I was actually doing was working in that space with the community of the personal development. So I did a lot of consulting and event management in running seminars and things, and met some wonderful people who in the long term have actually continued relationships with in my work. But after having children, I think it was 25 when I had my son, my firstborn, and I actually was a stay-at-home mum for about 13, 14 years. So I did very little work, as in paid work. I did little contracts and things like that, but essentially my role was taking care of my bambinos, which I have to say I absolutely loved. It was the joy of my life. And then I had a girlfriend who I had worked with in the very early years, who contacted me to help organise her wedding, of all things. And it was actually at that time that I was going through separation and divorce with my husband. So it was perfect timing, because she was also starting up a new business. And it's when I started working again. So worked with her, and it's been 10 years now, and I'm still doing and working with, as I said earlier, leadership development coaches, and supporting their corporate programs. So that's about it. That's where I am now. My kids have just left home. I have one still at home, and so I'm in the beginning of really the next stage of my life.
How was it for you when kids left? Did you feel any difference? Did you had this crisis of self-identity? Who am I now?
Absolutely. And I'm literally just thinking my head over the top of what that looks and feels like. So, it has actually been a very deep dive and lots of self-reflection at the moment. I also was, after my marriage, I actually was with another partner, long-term partner for 9 years, and that I broke up with him. That relationship ended in that form last year as well. So from more or less having a family of 5 to just 2 of us now in a short period of time has definitely been a period of change and deep reflection. So I've recognised that how I have been doing my life has really served me well. And I was in a bit of a crisis only a couple of weeks ago, to be honest, about what have I been doing with my life? What's going on? My goodness, I'm nearly 50. What have I been doing? But I've really taken a good look at the fact that I have served my children really, really well, and others in that role of caring and nurturing and providing service, and that I've actually been incredibly resilient through all those ups and downs in my life in that role, providing that role. And now it's just a time of new chapters. So it's like pulling together all of those resources and strengths that I have, and recognizing or allowing time for that to sort of come to a new form, and how now I will actually contribute going forward. And I feel like it's like a time of my life now where I'm in like a chrysalis. Yes. So it's a time of reforming and rebirthing. I hope that doesn't sound too corny, but that's essentially where I'm at. And it has been scary, challenging, but it's also incredibly exciting.
Absolutely.
It really is. So that new form hasn't quite crystallized yet, but there's new things on the horizon. So
beginning to start.
Yes,
getting to know yourself, your true self. Yeah, maybe with with no roles, no obligations, just you. You just, maybe it's a time to meet yourself, your true self.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And the challenge with that has been not forcing it, not sort of hurrying up and making that decision or getting on with it. It's actually allowing myself to sit in a little bit of that uncomfortableness and give myself some space for the new form to emerge. And that's actually really exciting.
Yeah. So interesting. So what are you most passionate about?
That's actually hard to say, because to actually say what I'm most passionate about, it's because of where I'm at right now. Like, this is actually what I'm in a deep dive to reflect on. I'm actually passionate about a lot of things, so it's like, which direction am I going to go? Primarily, I really love and am passionate about human connection. So the impact that has on contributing to our own well-being, so the well-being of ourselves, the well-being of others, humanity, and even our planet. So I think human connection has a great deal to contribute in all of those areas. So I'm part of my deep dive is, how do I contribute in this domain of human connection in a more meaningful and joyful way for me. So I'm also really passionate about health and well-being in all forms, physical, mental, spiritual. I also love arts and crafts, exercising, maintaining healthy lifestyle, socialising, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's move to more philosophical questions, as I can say. Like, everyone knows that with age we change, but what positive changes have you experienced with age?
Sense of self. You know, this is really sort of a bit of a theme running here, but yes, self-awareness, becoming more and more aware of my behaviours and how, and more importantly, why I engage with others the way I do. Self-acceptance, it's a big one. Learning to accept myself for who I am, rather than looking for acceptance and approval from others. And with that comes self-respect. So learning to set boundaries, to honour what's important and also what's unacceptable to me, in honour of meeting my own needs, wants and desires. Having had a lifetime focus of being a caregiver and in service of others, age has gifted me with experiences that have allowed me to grow my own emotional intelligence, to develop a greater loving of self.
Yeah. So what is the biggest challenge you think you're experiencing at this age now?
I think the biggest challenge for me, at this age right now, is this turning point of being that mother, and now it's time for me, and which direction do I turn? I've got more of an idea of the direction, but it's actually even narrowing that down to and how do I express myself in that? So, and it's the challenge with that has been not beating myself up at this age, and not knowing what that is for me. So it's actually allowing. Yeah.
It will come in the right time.
It will. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everyone has their own path and journey and timing. And the other part to that too is also recognizing that the path that I've done so far has been incredibly serving and contributing. So yeah, it's It's now just showing up in a different form.
Yeah, I think it's we forget sometimes to thank ourselves for what we did and
Yes.
for the achievements we have in our life. And sometimes we think, oh, that's nothing, or it's not that important. But if we all know this exercise, right? All your achievements, why we're doing it? Just to remind ourselves, like, we did meaningful things, and
Yes.
they matter. And I think this self-identification crisis, which we have, women, when our kids grow up and leave home, it's absolutely normal, for every woman. So being having one role for most of our lives, and then suddenly having all those freedoms and thinking, what can I do with that?
That's exactly right.
So
That's exactly right.
it takes time. So, talking about accomplishments, which sometimes we forget, so can you describe your greatest accomplishment?
Well, that would be my 3 children. They have been the greatest joy of my life, actually. I've just loved being their mum, and I actually feel incredibly grateful for having had the opportunity to be at home with them for the majority of their childhood. It's been obviously challenging and lots of ups and downs, but incredibly rewarding, and I have absolutely loved every minute of it. I have 2 boys and a girl. My eldest son, Michael, just turned 25, and he is more or less been a lifetime student. I think he's been at uni now, 7+ years. He's changed his mind a couple of times, but he's now found his groove. And interestingly, he loves sports and loves working with children. So he's training, he's already got a degree in sports development, and he's now doing a master's in teaching, and has worked with kids for the last 7 years while he's been doing all that study. So he loves what he does. And I tell you, as a mum, that's all you want for your children, is for them to be happy and enjoy what they're doing. So that's him. Daniel, my second son, he has just turned 22, and he grew up loving music. He's taught himself, well, he was trained to learn how to play the piano, and he's taught himself along the way to play just about every other instrument there is. And he's actually followed a career path in sound engineering, and he's also loving that. So, and my daughter Marnie is 18, and she has struggled a little through school in regards to the institution of school not being an environment that has served her well in terms of her well-being at the time. But she's been out of school now about 18 months, and her wings have just started to fly. So she's done a course in animal studies and is about to follow on and do vet nursing. And in the meantime, she's a budding artist, and so she's taken over my garage. There's paint from here to kingdom come, and she's working in an art supply shop. So it's just wonderful to see them all living and loving what they do. And so they're actually a reflection for me to see, just by following things that light you up inside, that you can live and contribute in a beautiful way.
So, what advice would you give your 30-year-old self if you could go back in time and see yourself?
30-year-old self. Okay. I had my hands full at 30, I could say. I think I think really about looking within for love and acceptance. Like, I think we get so caught up sometimes in, well, not everybody, let's put it that way. There's many of us women, though, however, that do go through our lives in service of others, and we do forget, and we can get a little caught up in having an expectation on that being in return, and actually being incredibly selfless, which really doesn't serve those that we're serving. So I think definitely look within for that, and being resourceful for self-love and acceptance.
And what advice would you give younger women who will eventually undergo these changes?
Trust your path, your journey in life. Life does have its hurdles. It's full of ups and downs, and they will come and they will go. And there's a lesson in every one of them. So, and they are for our growth and our well-being. So follow your heart, keep doing things you love and things that bring you joy, and be kind to yourself. Change is inevitable, and there's always something to learn and grow, and you can decide how you choose to respond in those times. Yeah.
I have a goosebumps, like such a wonderful advice. I also would like to ask you about the body image, and where do you think the idea of perfect body comes from?
Unfortunately, I think at face value, it comes from media. We're conditioned to listening to and being influenced by external factors, which is unfortunately driven by profits, not for our well-being. However, there is more movement and awareness, for sure, these days about re-educating. But I think we've still got a long way to go about truly what body image, or a good body image, is, and where that really comes from. And I even think the word perfect probably shouldn't go next to body image, because I think that sort of clouds what we should be really looking at, which is about a sense of what's the word, greatness or good feeling. I don't think there's any perfection in body image. It's actually about feeling our body, rather than it being an image.
Yeah, I agree with you, because even with now we have those body positive movements, and except it still goes through media. So we have until media tells us, oh, okay, girls, that's fine to have normal body, not perfect one. So I think I agree with you that it should come from within. You have to understand with your intuition, like what's your body is good or not good, to feel it, and not rely on the media. Like one day they say like this is the perfect body, and the other day, oh, let's like
that's right,
let's do this perfect, or oh, you're okay, you're normal. So don't wait for media to tell you that your body is okay. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Yes. We've had in the past, haven't we? We've been, the perfect body images was literally skin and bone. And now big booties. So, yes,
even the lingerie companies now, they're placing images of women like plus size, or they don't retouch any stretch marks or lumps and bumps.
Yep.
You know, this tendency, trying to pursue, to tell you that that's okay. You know, like you don't know that that's okay. They're showing, you see, you have a stretch mark. That's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So, what does it mean to you feeling good and looking good? And what do you think comes first?
Well, feeling good, definitely. I think really tuning in to our bodies, and our bodies are a reflection of what's actually going on in our lives. And I mean that in all facets, like mentally, physically, obviously, and even spiritually. So if we've managing those aspects of ourselves and responding in ways that is for our well-being, and keeping healthy lifestyle in all of those realms, I know for myself personally, it's really important to me, and I do pay a lot of attention to those realms in my own life. And when I'm feeling good, when I'm feeling in balance in all of those areas, I actually look good. It radiates out. For me, the looking good is definitely starting the inner work and feeling good and consciously making choices. It's not easy in today's world to just go about. It really is something that I choose to do. Yeah.
And what makes you feel the most?
Feeling good, for sure. That connection to spirit, for sure. And a gratitude for nature, I have to say too. I love being outdoors. I love the sun. I get so much energy out of the sun, and I feel fabulous in my own skin when I'm in the sun. And obviously sharing time with family and friends, yeah. With a smile on my face. Smiling feels good.
Mind that, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite quote about being a woman?
Ooh. I had to go and have a little think about this one, but this one's not specifically for women, but it resonated for me for now. And it is, "If one has courage, nothing can dim the light that shines within," by Maya Angelou.
It's beautiful. Excellent. Thank you, Kylie, for such a wonderful conversation and your story and sharing it with us, and your courage.
Thank you for having me.
And participating in our project.
If you have an interesting story to share, we'd love for you to participate. You can email us on info@alexandrawalker.com, and that's Alexandra spelled with a KS, or visit our website alexandrawalker.com.